Welcome to Women's $1 Million Conversations with Alice Tang, where we share stories from successful businesswomen who have saved, earned, or sold over $1 million and discuss how they built their success and insights to help you achieve your goals. Now, let's join the conversation.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Alice Tang, your host for Women's $1 Million Conversation in the Northwest America. I am here today with a new good friend, Gina Riley, who's our guest. Ning. Gina, would you tell us a little bit about you?
So my name is Gina Riley. I am a career coach specifically targeting leaders and executives who are experiencing a career transition, whether they've been laid off or they're proactive and they have a job and they're seated in a role, but they want to get promoted or they want to move out and, maximize their financial upside or take on that next big challenge. I do that through a model that I call Career Velocity, and it's a 9-step program that takes them through very successively all the steps that help them realize that goal. And I'm also affiliated with Talents Group, Executive Search and Consulting with our mutual friend, Sherry Kitsowen. And on that team, I have conducted executive searches, but more I'm on deck to do our interview skills training that we do in corporate. So that's kind of a highlights reel.
I love the program called Career Velocity. And that velocity is going to get them to a new heights where they might have a better compensation package. It's not all about money, but it could be because money buys time. If you have more vacation, it's money.
Absolutely. There's so many reasons to make a career transition. Could be job dissatisfaction, but it could be just the person has that inner compass that says, I can do more, I can be more, and I can have greater impact. My value about money is about choices. It's the same way that I feel about education. And when I talk to my children about getting a degree or their involvement with activities and accumulating experiences, it's about having enough so that you have choices down the road. And when you are in a situation where you don't have enough financial resources, it limits your choices.
I love that. To me, it's exactly the same. I call it independence. I call it freedom, but it's really freedom of choices so that you're not
Yes.
stuck. You can stand up for yourself. You raise your hand. What's the worst case scenario? Walk away and work with Gina.
Oh, thanks, Alice.
All right, all right. So now that we know it's creating choices in life, our guest at Women's $1 Million Conversation either saved, made, or earned $1 million. We're going to talk about accumulating $1 million because we only have 15 minutes. So we always can have you come back. So now let's focus on that route.
Okay.
In your journey accumulating your first million, I'm not asking your fifth million, the first million, how many years or months, how much time did you spend together with your partner, your wonderful husband, to get there? And also, what is the biggest hurdle or bias getting there?
Oh, goodness. Okay. So the focus for me on the million is the fact that I've had an incredible partnership of over 30 years with the same amazing human being, Sean Riley. And it's really been about the team effort. He calls it Team Riley. And the amazing thing about my husband is he constantly would remind me of my value in the partnership, even when I took a 15-year break from the workforce. So
Oh,
I was the stay-at-home parent. He worked for a number of high-tech companies in the Portland area and had a lot of travel. And so, we had to divide and conquer to grow two human beings that would be successful in life and give back in their communities. And in doing so, my husband's career flourished. And I'll be honest, I don't know exactly when that $1 million mark was, but it was all about successive saving, successive investing, also investing in resources to have other people give us financial advice. That was part of it. Not doing it in a bubble And so for him, it would have been receiving advice, not just from the people around him as he started to grow his career, but it was then the external financial resources and having advisement in doing so.
So it's teamwork between the two of you, very tight, very encouraging for each other's growth and sacrifice too in the journey, right? You took 15 years off. At the same time, what I heard is you have expanded that trusted advisor circle a little bit to receive help and advice, maybe from a very close friend who made it, or family, or even to advisors that you pay for to point you to the right direction and tell you the blind spot.
Absolutely, because you don't know what you don't know. And if you haven't gone to school, to understand the ins and outs, I mean, there's so much to navigate. It's similar, but I think career transition is less complex. But the people that I'm working with, it's super complex because we weren't taught that stuff in school. How do you network effectively? How do you position yourself and market yourself? And it's changing and evolving. Same with financial expertise. There is no way that I have all the knowledge needed to be successful with my, financial resources. No way.
Well, you know what? Finance is not that complicated if you spend time every single day doing it like me.
Yes.
I would say that if you can focus, you can do it. But many of our clients, I think, not also friends like you, you choose to do something that is more meaningful and maybe can pay you better and give you the highest value. Coming home is like, I made it, instead of crunching the numbers every day. So kudos to you
Absolutely.
using other advisors.
When you hire an advisor, you're looking at the long game and you're looking for a longer range return versus the immediate cost or investment of what you're doing, excuse me, in yourself.
Similar could apply to hiring a coach for their career.
Absolutely.
Okay, what is the biggest hurdle, if there is any,
The
to
biggest
get to that
hurdles.
million?
Oh gosh. Persistence would be one thing. And I would also say delayed gratification. You can't do both and. You can do some of both and, but you can't. I would say that you have to have patience and you have to have that long-term visibility and you have to have self-control. That was the word I was looking for. You have to have self-control. Just because you want something, you have to think about, do you need that thing? Whatever that is, right? Whether it's we feel like we deserve to have lots of fancy vacations, great, we may feel that way, but is the longer term play that we want to have financial security, a home that gets paid off, money in a 529 plan for children to go to college. So there were choices that we had to make, as anyone has to make, whether that's going to be a short-term gain to feel great or a long-term gain to feel more successful in the long run.
No matter what you choose, there is a cost. Just know the cost. I think we're all adults. We can stand by the cost. And sometimes it's not rational. How about if you have a very close member who is in the hospital and need a huge deductible that they couldn't afford?
Right.
And I mean, it's choice, right? The choice is I choose not to help because financial independence is really important. Or I choose to help, but I know that I'm going to delay it a year also. But it's important to see this family member healed and alive.
100%. And what you said about choice, again, it goes back to if you make the long-term play, you will have more choices when you hit those inroads so that it doesn't feel like such a big cost at that time.
Yes, yes, yes. Now, in the whole time when you're running your career and also even helping to save through the journey, there must be a time or two that you and your wonderful husband, the Tim Riley, thinks that, gee, it's too hard. We can't do it. What kept you going?
What kept us going? There were times that we, made a sacrifice the opposite direction of financial security. There was like that big family trip that only we could help afford for for the whole of the family. And so, when you reflect back on those times, you can't get those times back. there are times that you do make that longer term sacrifice for the shorter term gain. However, if we look at the longer term gain, we can look back and have these memories that we were a part of providing. So again, it's about choices and trade-offs.
I also feel that there is a word that is coming up, so I'm going to name it. It's called experience while you're living.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so balance is one of the words, but I don't think balance it is because it's all about priorities. So if the priorities is to create such experience within reasons, we are not going to go bankrupt to do this, but within reasons, then
Right.
perhaps it's the right time because how old is grandmother if she waited 20 years?
Right. We're not going to do that. And my husband's definitely a leader for our family in that space, thinking about what those relational trade-offs are and often choosing the relational option. But that it comes back to the fact we have choices because we did a better job in our 20s. I mean, I can remember in my early HR career, I was in comp and benefits and doing recruiting, and I was advising early career people joining our companies, like on what choices to make about the retirement plans and how much to put in. Like back at Intel, you would want to maximize what you could put into your retirement because they were matching up to a certain percentage. So we were taking our own advice. We were, in that respect. And my husband got that advice as he entered his first job, at Intel. That's the long-term payoff, is when you sacrifice something that you don't even know what it's going to feel like to have the money in your hands. It's being saved for later. So that would be one of my top pieces of advice for anybody. And for those who are, maybe my age, who aren't in that position anymore, but they're advising their children, or they're in front of, 20 somethings making these choices. That's one of my top pieces of advice. Maximize your retirement savings immediately, and don't even get comfortable putting all your paycheck into your bank account.
That's wonderful because there is a cost to put all your paycheck in the bank account because Uncle Sam, both federal and state, will not leave you alone. Maybe 35 cents of the dollar is already gone. You only see 65 cents, where it show up as $1 in your plan plus the census that the company is matching. Thank you. I love that piece of advice. Now, when you're making a big financial decision, when the stakes are really high, what process does it take you and your husband, the team Riley?
What process do we go through? I think that it's a matter of like looking at what we actually want, balancing that with what we think we can afford or get to, and then backing into what's reasonable. So whether that's like the big purchase items in our lives, it's the home, it's the car, okay, well, what we really want is X, but what we need to back into is, a few gradations less than that, then, and then we're lining up the finances to match that so that we can make our payments and that we're not living uncomfortably, and not, with all the topsy-turviness in the economy, we don't put ourselves in a risky position.
It's also a trade-off because you and your husband know what you want and then back up into the numbers. What's the cost monthly to have this, whatever that is? And if that feels uncomfortable, what is this compromise that you still love it and you can feel financially less strapped?
Absolutely. I mean, would I love to buy the brand new car? Absolutely. With the full warranty and the whole thing? Sure. But what can I do to buy something that's a few years old, that's in great shape? We do a lot of work to find that ideal car that we can either pay cash for or that we can make a few payments and not be, spending all of our money monthly on that one thing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I would be remiss if I don't ask, what's your money legacy?
Oh, my money legacy. So I come from a planful family. Like my father and mother were just amazing at being diligent about they were very thrifty. I grew up in a very middle class, thrifty family. My mom was the coupon shopper. All the time I was home as a stay-at-home mom, I was a coupon shopper. So part of my legacy is actually being a role model for my children on how to look at purchases in a thrifty way. Their thrift shop store shoppers, they know to look at price per ounce when they're evaluating a can of beans on the shelf, or whatever that is. So part of my legacy is just sort of teaching them that they don't have to just pay the face value for something and see how they can save in the short term while they're at the grocery store. Longer term, it's really about managing all the resources that I would inherit and or be the steward of for my children, as I age and they come of age to get whatever's coming, from our families. So that would be part of it.
Teach them how to fish and be a role model of a great fisherman, I heard.
Exactly.
Gina, we're very grateful for you. What are you grateful for today?
Oh, today, I'm grateful that I get to live in an amazing place now in Central Oregon. Portland, as you know, is like my business hub, but I get to live in Central Oregon where it's sunny and beautiful, in a house that I love and that people want to visit. And, that we have a welcoming place that people just feel content and happy to be, including my children, which is important that my children who are in their 20s want to come and see mom. So
We are so grateful for you and the time that you have provided to our audience. Thank you so very much.
thank you.